He is still keeping up with all latest technologies at his fifth one. This is my favorite about him. Just tell me, to whom did you create a website? Because are the business serious about these website and stuff?
Computing didn't seem like a fun career.
In Sri Lanka, let's take the central province. So if we do something there, we should customize our programs and everything according to that. That's a very hard thing to set up a program. If we are moving to Gaul side, southern side, that's a different style. So if you are coming to Jaffna, the northern side, it's a complete different side. So
Okay.
it's just about area. So how you managed in different countries? So have you shaped yourself to get adapted to different kind of cultures? Hey everyone, welcome to Thasanthan. I'm your host Thasanthan. Today we have an awesome guest lined up for you. We are chatting with Pete Argent, a tech industry veteran with almost 20 years of experience. I think Pete is done it all, from working at IBM as a software consultant to running his own coding school. He is super passionate about teaching coding to kids, and also he started a lot of innovation courses all around the world, especially even in UN as well. So how cool is that? And also he have given a speech at TEDx Sydney and been featured in ABC News, etc., etc. And he has conducted training session in places like Iran, India, Sri Lanka, and Philippines. And get this, he is still keeping up with all latest technologies at his fifth one. This is my favorite part about him. Okay, so we'll hear about his journey today and the impact of education programs and what he thinks the future holds for tech education. And plus, we'll dive into some of his current projects, UCubed. So let's not waste any more time and get straight into it. Pete, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Hi, Thassa. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and very happy that you're doing this type of show. I'm sure it's going to do very well.
It's so nice to have you, Pete, here because I asked you yesterday, you joined today. So thank you so much. I want to give you a great podcast today. Let's get into it. Okay. So, Pete, my first question for you is, can you share a bit about your journey in the tech industry and how you transitioned from a software consultant at IBM to running your own coding school?
Sure. Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to get into a program while I was studying at university, my IT degree. I started quite late in going to do that. I was 28 years old. It was 2001, and yeah, when I first left school, computing didn't seem like a fun career because back then the internet wasn't really a thing, in 1990, and it was just working with mainframes or COBOL programming language, and it didn't seem like very fun. It seemed very nerdy sort of thing, right? And but then later, around 2000, when the internet was really starting to sort of become more popular, I realized I started playing with creating websites and things, and I thought, well, maybe this can be fun now. So that's why I went to do my IT degree, and yeah,
So,
got into a pro. Yeah.
what is the tech you have used for build websites? I mean, in very early stage.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
the
just
hosting platforms. I'm so curious to know about it. Yeah.
yeah, well, it was just text editors and simple sort of static pages. There was no, you couldn't create web applications. Like that wasn't a thing then, right? It was just static pages and even early versions of HTML. CSS didn't even exist yet, right? Like it was just every styling was inside the HTML tags, and so it was very tedious. There was no, cool IDEs to make it fun or easy, but that didn't matter. We could still create, websites. So it was fun to
Yeah.
explore that.
So, Pete, just tell me, to whom did you create a website? Because these days, seriously, a business really want to keep a website for their selves. So, at those days, are the business serious about these website and stuffs?
No, not at all. It was really just personal pages that people were doing, right? Like, there was a couple of sites like GeoCities that was really popular, where people could create a web page or website just about their hobbies or their interests, or things that they were really passionate about. And yeah, like back then, like even Google didn't exist yet, so it was directories to find sites, right? So you wanted to get listed on a directory and things like this. So yeah, it was a very different world.
Great. So, again, another question, continuity question from that. So,
Yeah,
at those days, are the kids really curious to learn this coding and stuff? Because these days, if you learn coding, we can make money for sure. If you know if you know how to code, you can make money. But is that the same those days? So why did the kids and the younger generations at that time were interested to learn coding? And at that time, as I know, the industry doesn't had any latest technologies or very popular interesting these stuffs. So
yeah,
what is the real reason behind them to learn coding at that time, and what is the reason that you started teaching coding to them?
sure. Well, I mean, I didn't start teaching really until 2013. So, but yeah, when I first started web coding, it wasn't something many people did, right? Like, it was only a new career choice. Even universities had started to teach more sort of web technologies in their IT degrees, but yeah, it was still very young for. I mean, I think Windows 98, Windows XP, these sort of really old sort of operating systems, right? So, um, but yeah, no one really thought that they needed to learn these things unless they were already interested in it. I think it was similar to now with some of the new technologies. Like, there's a bit of a hype cycle, right? So there was what we call the dot-com boom back in 2001, where for the first couple of years before that, there were big excitement that the internet was going to make everyone really rich, and that's why there was pets.com and shoes.com and house.com and everything.com. And so all this money was pouring in, but the technology really wasn't ready yet. So that's why they had the big bust, and therefore it pretty much put the damper on the whole industry, just as I was getting into it. So yeah, there was a bit of uncertainty as to whether it would still become a thing. It wasn't until 2005, 2006 when Facebook, I suppose, really sort of started that people started to see what else the internet was good for. But blogs was really big by then, and that was like that extension of those early sites where people were just writing about their interests, and now they could write something new every day, right? So that was really, they were the pioneers of the internet, right? People writing blogs. I remember actually the the 9/11 attacks in New York, and one of the ways that I sort of got first-hand accounts of what was happening on the ground was reading people's blogs back then. That was before Twitter, before all that sort of thing, right? So, yeah, you could read someone's blog who lived right near it, and they would tell you all about it.
Great. It's so curious to learn more about it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's right. And then I think also when I did start teaching coding in 2013, quite a lot of my students had dabbled in coding thanks to MySpace, because MySpace was, a precursor to Facebook, and it was very popular as well. But it allowed you to customize your page, right? You could change the colors and change the fonts and add images and put lots of GIFs. So it was a way that a lot of people started to experiment with code and see that it could be fun. And even though they might not have done much with it for a while, when that was something they told me when they started learning again.
that's really great. Okay. Next, I think you have delivered courses on innovation and design thinking for a wide range of organizations, right? So, can you give us an example of project or initiative that really stands out to you and why?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the things that I like most about teaching design thinking, and innovation is just helping people realize they already have the ability to do these things. It's just taking a new look, or taking a different angle, a different view of solving a problem. And it's also something I really wish more people, well, more schools were teaching, because it is a really powerful life skill to, rather than just jump into the first idea you have to solve a problem, taking a design approach gets you trying to understand the problem a bit more, so that the solution you come up with is more likely to actually solve it. And so, even though, yeah, it's something that, it leads people to, you know, I suppose that the best thing is when I've taught small business people these skills, this sort of framework. They love this. They get into a high, like a natural high, talking about their ideas, and it's like no one's ever given this opportunity to talk about ideas before. And it was a nighttime class, I remember, and I'd finished the class, but all the students were staying there. They're all adults anyway, but they were staying and keeping talking, and it's like, I want to go home and eat my dinner, but they were just having so much fun talking about ideas, and I think that was what really helped me see that I wanted to do that more.
That's cool. That's cool, Pete. Okay, so you have not just restricted yourself in Australia. So you have conducted sessions in even in Iran, India, Sri Lanka, and even Philippines. So just tell me, how do these international experiences shape your approach to technology education, and what cultural differences have you encountered that influence how you deliver your programs? So, because I really wanted to know, because even I'm running a community called bcode.lk. So when we running a community in a specific even area, let's say in Sri Lanka, let's take the central province. So if we do something there, we should customize our programs and everything according to that. That's a very hard thing to set up a program. So if you are moving to Gaul side, southern side, that's a different style. So if you are coming to Jaffna, the northern side, it's a complete different side. So
Okay.
it's just about area. So have you managed in different countries? So have you shaped yourself to get adapted to different kind of cultures?
That's a really interesting question. I think for me, it's been the impact it's had for me. Firstly, is it's really helped me find that purpose in life, my life purpose in a way. I was already discovered that I loved to teach and teach coding and technology skills, but then also getting that opportunity to travel and teach in other countries, it really showed me how the power of these skills, that how important it was for more young people, especially to get these skills, because it can change their life. To give them the skills and knowledge and experiences that will help them get well-paid careers or start a business and then hire other young people. And so that was, yeah, something that I was really, yeah, moved by, and decided that this is what I am focused on now, doing what I can to yeah, just spread the word and the excitement for learning technology skills. With culture, I think, if anything, I saw in these different countries there was more actually hunger for these skills and knowledge as well, more ambition, more, especially from young people. Like yourself, and I've met lots of young people who would going above and beyond what maybe their family, the community, society was expecting of them, and just achieving, just succeeding, and just doing things right. And that if anything, inspires me more. So that's something I definitely noticed different about the culture. But I don't think. I think the training I was doing, it was quite. It was usually for professionals in different sort of industries, usually around telecommunications and things like that. So, and actually, there were usually a mix of countries represented in these as well. So it was quite good in that way. So I got to just that was probably the best bit about one of the best bits is that I got to make this great network of really smart people trying to do similar things, and around the whole region. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. And I was always curious about one thing because can you remember our first meeting? Uh, Actually, on the up until that day, I never talked to a foreigner that much of friendly. I mean,
Mhm.
it's actually 2 years back, right?
Yeah,
So
at least maybe longer. Yeah.
maybe longer.
Oh,
Yeah,
about that time. Yeah, about that.
it's been almost two and more years, right?
Yeah.
So at that day, seriously, I was thinking, how you still keeping connecting with different country peoples, and you're always ready to connect with them and network with them, learn from them. Especially that's a very must quality. I mean, I should learn really from you. You're 51 years old. You are a lecturer at an popular university as well, but you are still giving a value to a young kid like me and many more kids, even in Sri Lanka and all over the world. I know that you are connected with so many people around the world. So, what will be the advice to upcoming generation from you to start networking, and what is the real importance of networking?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's not something that I was always great at, but I have um, really enjoyed not only meeting and talking with people and learning from people, but also connecting people. Right. So when I meet someone here and I hear what they're doing, and then I know someone who's doing something like that. I think you two would like have lots to talk about. So I actually really enjoy that
Yes,
connecting as
exactly.
well.
That part was really interesting and a great skill that you have. Even that helped me in a lot of way, and also I got a commitment to you. Okay, he has helped me in this way, so definitely I should help him somewhere else at some point. So I'm automatically getting committed to something like that. So I think that's a really great point, and that's a really great skill that I should keep in myself as well.
It is tricky to start. I think I was shy in the beginning too, and not really knowing, how to reach out to someone I want to talk to, or if I do have a call, what am I going to say? What are we going to talk about? But I learned some skills there, right? Like um, I realized that when someone reached out to me and asked for a call or a meeting or a coffee, I felt good. I felt, oh, someone wants to talk with me. So then I realized, well, actually, that's probably what happens when I ask someone. They'll be happy that I'm asking them for a call or for a coffee. Someone wants to talk to them, right? So that's something you need to remember that, yeah, it's not like they're not going to think, oh, why are they messaging me? Why do they want to talk to me? They'll be going, oh, they want to talk to me, right? And especially when you're young, this is, I think, a superpower you don't realize you have. But especially people my age, if someone young reaches out to them and says, oh, I would like to talk to you, I'll be like, oh, that's nice. Yes, please, I would love to do that, right? So you want to support the young people. And most people my age would, right? Or even not so old as me, or even older than me. So yeah, never let that sort of thing stop you. So yeah, I think for me too, I've made a point of making it a habit, making it a part of my business life is keeping these connections, keeping these meetings, and even having recurring meetings in my calendar, so that because I sometimes have the best intentions to keep up with people, but if I don't have a calendar item, I'll forget to do that, right? So yeah, it's a bit of a personal hack to book in a recurring meeting, and that way I know there's a good chance I'll keep in touch with them.
Yeah, that's great, and it's still I'm copying that from you every single day. So before I met you, I will talk to someone if I want something only. Otherwise, I don't talk to anyone. I was like, why should I talk to them? Why should I talk to him? I was in that kind of mindset. But once I talk with you, you were. I have to open it up publicly because that was so helpful for me because you were not expecting anything from me, but you are trying to connect me with someone who can really help me. So that was like why he is doing that. I was thinking at that time, why he is doing, what's the point of it? Then only I realized the real importance of networking and how importance is that when it comes to even business or skills, whatever the thing. So I am so impressed with that, so that's why I have to talk about it here.
Sure.
And next, so with this 20 years in the tech industry, you have seen a lot of changes, right? So, what emerging technologies do you believe will have most significant impact on the education in the next decades? Next decade. So, what will be your prediction?
I think metaverse for sure, right? Like I think we're definitely moving very fast towards it, even though it's really only accessible for the wealthy at the moment. But and there is still some time before a lot of the technology is really ready to do it well. But that's where I think education will be changed the most, enabling that sort of virtual world education where you don't just have to sit in a classroom. You can be on site in a business in a different part of the world, experiencing and learning, right? And so yeah, I think, but that's also powered not only by the VR and augmented reality as well, but AI and blockchain and perhaps even quantum computing, right? These sorts of technologies are going to be what powers the metaverse. And yeah, I think it's been something that's been around for a long time in little pieces, but it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We've had it's sort of gone through a hype cycle a couple of times, but it's coming, and yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think it's something that we're all still sort of enamored by, that idea of getting to choose who you present yourself as in this virtual world, right? It's yeah, I think that's going to unlock a lot of creativity and learning and things. So
Yeah, true. That's true. Um, and also, what's the take on AI? What's your take on AI, artificial intelligence? So, what do you think about it?
yeah, well, I mean, I'm a Star Trek and sci-fi fan from all my life, and I love the idea of robots and androids that can be part of our lives, right? Whether they're assistants or whether they're friends. Uh, you know, so that's I've always had a. I know there's been a lot of scary sci-fi movies around AI as well, but I definitely and that reflects the reality, right? Like it could go bad or it could go good, uh,
True.
and I think it's going to be a little while before we really sort of see a lot of jobs replaced by it. But as we can see, it's already, starting to happen in some fields, some industries. At the moment, I think it's really just going to help us, right? Help humans. I think it's like what we call augmented intelligence, right? Adding to your own existing intelligence, being able to, do more with less time and less resources than before. So, yeah, I think I'm really excited by it. I think it's got a bit of evolution to go, a bit of maturity to go, of course. And I think blockchain is going to play quite a big part in AI because blockchain actually produces trust. And I think, if we can make that as part of the infrastructure of AI, then people can trust where it's getting its information from, what its algorithms are, and therefore there's better chance of it turning out for the best rather than, you know, killing all humans.
True. That's true. So, continuing to that, so how do you see blockchain technology transforming the education sector. So, what do you think on that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways. Uh, I mean, the main headline way that a lot of the industry talks about is credentials. So having trustable uh, certificates or degrees that don't rely on a centralized authority to verify. There's apparently a lot of fraud and things like this around degrees, and so that's the sort of the headline sort of area. But I really see it, and how I'm sort of wanting to implement it is through the sort of incentives and gamified way of using it. So it means that you can prove what you have learnt, and that then delivers an incentive. So we can have a task, a learning task, and when you've shown that you have learnt it and you submit your proof, then you earn a reward. And that way, I think you can flip that model of education where instead of students needing to pay for education, that they get paid to learn. And that's something that I'm working hard towards.
That's a crazy point. That's cool. So, you founded UCubed, right? So,
Yeah.
tell me, what is UCubed, and what is the future of UCubed?
Yeah. So building upon, my love of teaching technology, and then during the pandemic and the last few years, learning and teaching blockchain at the university, I realized that, this is what a way that I can achieve my life goals, in terms of teaching digital skills at larger scale and really effectively, really impactfully. And so, yeah, at the moment, it's just pre-launched at the moment, but yeah, we'll be running a foundations program that sort of helps people take the skills they already have and now add Web3 blockchain knowledge and skills to start getting those opportunities in the Web3 space. There's some really interesting sort of job openings these days in Web3, things like economy designer or cryptography engineer. These sorts of the fun new jobs in blockchain area. And there's going to be, I think, very soon a big sort of rush towards these skills and these jobs. So yeah, people getting in now will be little bit ahead of the curve, and then they'll be right for those opportunities. But yeah, for me, I'm starting sort of local, but with the global vision. So I really do sort of see how this knowledge and these skills can really make a big difference in the right young people's hands. I feel like schools have sort of let down or failed our young people these days. They didn't get taught coding properly. They didn't get taught design or other sort of digital skills. So I feel like this is sort of going to hopefully rectify that a little bit. But we're also bringing this idea of peer-to-peer learning, because it's hard to scale when you've got to train teachers to teach something. But how about we just get, students teaching each other, especially like, if one group of students have just gone through a course, instead of them just going off into the world and doing their thing, we incentivize them to stay around and help the next students that come in. And that way you don't need to hire as many teachers. We also incentivize them to mark each other's work and even to update the learning materials. So, that really decreases the amount that you need sort of professional teachers, and that's usually the work that teachers don't like anyway, the marking and the materials updating. So why not incentivize students to do that? So, and it's because we see it as that is just an extra way to learn. When you're actually reading your peers' assignments and work, you're actually learning more than just doing your own project, right? And normally in schools, it's only the teacher that gets to see everyone's work. But in this way, you'll actually get to see what other students did and the way they understood this topic, right? So it's more learning than the traditional way.
One thing, I am not feeling like I'm talking with a 51 years old man. You're so updated with techs and trends. So how do you do that? Do you follow any specific newsletter or any specific news daily, or how do you keep yourself this much updated? Because I am not updated as you know, with these new worlds and
I mean, it's all relative, right? I think you probably know a lot about topics that I don't know about. Okay, so yeah, we can never know everything in life, and it's even in one area. Like you'll never know everything, so you've got to just like focus on things that you're interested in and that make you happy and excite you, and yeah, learn more about that. Right? I think that's what we need to do because it does feel a bit overwhelming sometimes when there's so much going on and there's how can anyone keep up, right? But for me, I'm just a constant reader and watcher and listener. I'm a big sort of constant learner. I'm always, I love my YouTube rabbit holes, my Wikipedia rabbit holes. I'm a voracious sort of consumer of knowledge, and all sort of trivia knowledge too, right? Like all different areas that might interest me this week, and yeah, I think that's sort of what has helped me, I think, have the unique or, the worldview that I have because of the little bits of knowledge and interests from across different spectrums and things like that. And I think traveling too really does open your mind to new perspectives on life. So I always recommend that to anyone. Get out of your bubble, get out of your area and, go other places because that's where your mind will really open up to new ideas and opportunities for yourself.
great advice. So another main question, since you're running a blockchain startup, so let's say if you're gonna hire somebody, so what will be the real qualification you expect from that guy? Will that be a degree or skill? Number one. So another question, continuing that, these days there are two sides. Some set of people, they are just ignoring the degrees as saying, uh, we don't need degree, we just need a specific knowledge and we can improve. But at somewhere at the life they are getting stuck because they are not updating themselves, and that's one side. Another side, some people are really dependent to degrees. They are not knowing about the industry and how these latest things are coming up. So there are two sides. So what will be your advice to those people, and how you hire somebody for your UCubed?
Good questions. Yeah, I think degrees and certificates are much less important now than they ever have been for many fields, especially in technology. Right? Of course, to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, an engineer, you want the good education, the good certificate. You want to know who's operating on you, knows what they're doing, right? But for business and technology and many other fields, I don't think if you can show what you can do, you can be self-taught. You can have learnt by watching YouTube videos. As long as you can show what you've done and talk about how you did it, that's going to get you the job. So yeah, the certificates and degrees are much less important now. I think it's all about a portfolio. Yeah, and being able to communicate your value. That's something that it's not something that necessarily people are good at naturally, and I definitely wasn't. But I think reflecting on yourself and what you're good at and what you like and what your strengths are and what your purpose is and what your goals are. I think that and then be able to express that to a company and that's sort of really the big tips I sort of give to people when they're doing, cover letters or resumes. Don't just do a generic opening. You've got to catch the attention of the person reading this in that first sentence. So talk about what's special about you, right? What's different about you that lines up with this job, right? And that's what will get people interested in looking at you more. So yeah, it's a very scary world, and especially when you're job hunting, especially, and it's quite demoralizing. I think everywhere in the world, you can be when you're looking for a job, you can be sending out applications every day, and you just hear nothing back, nothing. and you just think, what's wrong with me? Right? And it's very bad for the self-esteem. So that's why I think too, it's good to do the networking. It's about, go and take someone for a coffee and email someone or message someone on LinkedIn and ask for their advice. And this is how you get the good jobs, I think, by getting off your butt and doing something a little bit scary, by reaching out and asking questions. I think that's my best sort of advice. And so if anyone sort of shows that interest with me, that's what I look for, and that's that's what's happened quite a lot. Is it's because some student of mine or someone I've known has sort of asked me, hey, let's go for a coffee, I want to get to know you more. So yeah.
Sure, that's a really, really a good point. I mean, everyone should be aware of it. I think so. Uh, my next question for you is, so what's next for Pete Argent? Again, sorry for again and again I'm mentioning your
No,
age,
that's all right. Yeah.
but I feel like you are a young 51 years old man.
That's
So,
very nice to say.
uh, example, in this question, I'm going to include a lot of things. See, I'm running bcode.lk and I am working for a group of companies. I'm into so many things, but I'm still struggling to get myself updated with the latest techs and trends because I'm not having time to do that. If I get into social media and stuff, it's so really hard for me to find the right thing, and at some point it's so stressing me. So I stopped watching the latest updates and I'm just running on my own way. That's what's happening. But I seriously want to get into these latest updates. So what will be your advice for me to stay updated on latest things, and what kind of tips and tricks I can follow to manage my time and things? And also networking, of course. Networking, I seriously learn from you. I'm doing it. I'm still doing it. That's why
Great.
even I'm doing this podcast at the moment.
Great.
So because seriously, from my YouTube and all, I don't want to make money. I don't want to make money at all. So I just want to give, and I just want to meet new people. I just want to help people. So that's why I'm doing this YouTube and stuff. But still, I need to update myself with the latest techs, and even a small things. Even 1 year back, posting a reel is something like we have to add a background music and a text and stuff. But these days, reels, it's not just about it. Starting hook, middle hook, ending hook. I mean, everyone knows about it, but as a content creator, I don't know seriously. Until the last month. So that's so the industry is getting updated so fast. So, what will be your advice on that? And give us some tips. So, how you manage your time and keep following these trends and stuff.
There's a simple answer. Find opportunities to teach, and you learn when you teach. All right. So if I want to learn more about something, I look for an
Yes.
opportunity to teach it, because then I have to learn it to teach it, right? And when I actually, even if it's something that I already knew a bit about, when I teach it, I learn more about it, because now I'm not only having to know it, but I'm having to know it so that I can explain it to others and explain it to them in a way they will understand. And usually it's an audience where they might come from a different sort of background. So therefore you have to think about how they will understand it. And this is just, this is how you really get to learn about things, is when you have to present it to others in a way that they might understand. It takes a lot of empathy, right? And thinking about them and how they might receive that information or receive that learning. So, and I want to do it in a fun way. I want to do it in an engaging, interesting way. So, it's something that, I've learned to love, not only the delivery of it, but that receiving of learning at the same time. And especially since, I used to worry that, but what about if someone asks me a question and I don't know the answer? I'll look silly. right? That's always a
That's
big fear for people. But I realized it's not a problem at all. All we can say is, look, let's find out together. I don't know. Let's find out together, and that way too, the students get to see me and how I find out the answer to something. So they see what I search or what sites I look at or that sort of thing. So you're actually even teaching how to find the answer to a question that you don't know the answer to. Right, which most people should know these days anyway. But even
yeah,
it's also showing them that, hey, it's okay that, like, you're never going to know everything about a subject, right? Even if you do have been working in that space for 20 years, there are still things you don't know. And so it's okay to say that you don't know. So yeah, don't let that ever hold you back. If anything, also, sometimes students would ask a question and I feel like, oh, I just explained that. Weren't you listening? But then I realized, actually, maybe they just didn't understand the way I explained it before. So maybe what's a different way I can explain it? And usually I come up with a better way to explain a topic. And now I think, wow, I'm going to use that explanation all the time, right? So I actually welcome questions, right? I welcome, yeah, there's nothing wrong with questions because it actually helps the teacher find new ways to explain things, and then everyone understands more. Yeah, knowledge is
great.
power.
That's great. Okay, so at the end, what you're saying is keep teaching
Yeah,
and keep learning. So yeah,
yeah,
that's true because even I realized that when I was teaching very, uh, I mean, at the, 2 years back, I was continuously doing workshops. So
yeah.
at those, I was so updated. But
Mm-hmm.
these last 1 year, I got a pause from doing workshops and stuff. And then seriously, I realized how really, I mean, within just 1 year there are a lot of new updates and all. And again, I started YouTubing again. I started the workshops and all.
Yeah.
uh, yes, I can feel the difference.
And this
I
is where
see
you
it
learn, right? You have to
taking
learn
difference.
things to be able to teach
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think it's
because
great too because it builds your communication skills as well,
yeah,
teaching, right? Because
true.
yeah, you're yeah, and this is such a valuable skill in any
Yeah.
industry, in any profession. Communication, both speaking and writing, and thinking about presentations and how that information is going to be received by your audience. And all valuable skills.
And yeah, when a student asks a different question that we don't know, we are getting a new perspective. Even
Mm.
when I start learning this coding and stuff, I seriously at that time I just only know how to the basics of coding, and I started to teach it to our community people. But the very interesting thing is they got some really crazy questions, and then I started to search about those questions, and then only I realized, there is something like this. There is something, a concept called OOP. There is a
Yeah.
concept called this and that. So yeah, by teaching we can learn. Very good.
So easy. Yeah, it's an easy answer. If you want to keep learning, find ways to teach. Yeah. The
That's great.
more teachers we
And
have, the better. That's for sure.
so, and lastly, where can our listeners find more about your work and get in touch with you for training or speaking engagement? And how can a listener from this video reach out to you and speak with you?
Reach
I
out.
know it's very
Yeah.
easy. There is no any formal steps, but just
Yeah.
uh,
I think LinkedIn
final
is
thought.
actually the best way because, yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message. Even if you don't see the connect straight away, like usually click on that little button and say, find the connect. Um, because, yeah, I think that's probably a really easy way. And you can, I'm not that I'm there every day, but I'm several times a week. I will go and check if there's any messages and things like this. So, and I think that's might even been how we met. I saw one of your posts or one of your comments, and we met that way. So, yeah, LinkedIn is even though it's not perfect site, it can be really good for this.
Okay, guys, I would say he is one of my very great and a good friend I got in last 2 years, because when even in business side, even in whatever the thing that I'm doing, his impact is there. Definitely I'm learning a lot from him. And I think I have mentioned everything that I learned from him in this video itself, and there are a lot more to learn from him. And finally, even I just want to say to you all, the one thing is, don't restrict yourself with books, or don't restrict yourself with anything else, even if it's a phone or anything. Don't just restrict. So because if you feel bored with doing networking with your phones, just go outside, get someone for a coffee and start speaking with them. I mean, this kind of ability, you may think it's a taboo thing to do. I mean, mostly the family and everyone thinks like that, but this kind of networking is much more than any degree and anything else. I mean, we can,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we got from the words of Pete. He is a lecturer at a very popular university in Australia, so he also says the same. So let's get adapt to the trends and stuff. And thank you so much, Pete, for being here. I think it's 11. No, it's 12 for you, right? It's
Nearly 1
12,
o'clock, nearly 1 a.m.
nearly 1 a.m. So
Yeah,
he is still here with us. And
of
thank you so
course.
much, Pete. And not only this, I would like to do more and more sessions with you. And also, if you all get something to ask to Pete, you can drop it in the comment box itself. I can forward it to him. And also, I would like to set up more and more workshop sessions with you to our students. And I would like to really thank you to helping Decoder.lk from the beginning to up until this moment. And also, we all will be there for you to help you UCubed to do the UCubed in any ways. Thank you, Pete. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Thasanthan. Uh, it's so
You're
nice to talk.
welcome, and thank you.
Thank you.